What's going on, guys? Welcome to Everything Always. My name's Michael Roman. Some of you may have seen the headline breaking late last night. Amazon now in play to pick up a suite of TV shows from Sony Entertainment, including some from the Sony universe of Marvel characters, mostly connected to Spider-Man. And in a follow-up article this morning that basically echoed the same sentiment, Deadline went ahead and outlined what's going on there and how Amazon would be hosting TV shows that would have Spider-Man characters, except for the fact that their agreement with Marvel Studios, unless it has changed drastically, would make the majority of this almost impossible. This is a rather complicated web, Spider-Man pun totally intended. We're going to do our best to unravel it, and I'm going to explain why I think there is zero shot of ever seeing any serious Spider-Man on Amazon streaming, and as we reported last year, there's a really good chance that Amazon could be instrumental in Marvel Studios receiving the rights back in full to Spider-Man. We're going to break this whole story down, including the Silk headline and what it means for Spider-Man TV shows if we actually could ever see them on Amazon in the future. But first, if you could grab the subscribe button, we're giving away 2 PlayStation 4 Pros, as well as a whole slew of other Marvel-related stuff, including this insane 1/4 scale XM Studios Beta Ray Bill and our third and final Infinity Saga box set. If you want to be entered to win, all you have to do, hit the subscribe button, then hit the notification bell, leave a like and a comment on this video, and if you want, stick around at the end of the video. We'll get into all the giveaway stuff again there. So quickly, as I said in the prologue, this was breaking late last night, so if you haven't seen any of these headlines or read any of these articles in the last 12 or 24 hours, let me go ahead and catch you up. Yesterday, late last night, it was announced that there was a live-action Silk series that's a Spider-Man adjacent female character in the works at Sony, and that Lauren Moon will write the series, and Phil Lord and Chris Miller were set to produce. And in an even bigger bombshell than the headline itself, that this would be headed to Amazon TV, their streaming service, in an agreement to open up the door to have Sony Marvel characters now show up on their streaming service. This, of course, made wildfire and waves because there's a lot of names in here. Obviously, Silk has been reported on for the better part of a year, and the fact that Sony would be working on a live-action series that would be headed to television and be headed to Amazon is even a bigger story in and of itself, aside from the fact that now we may see Marvel characters on yet another streaming platform. This is exactly what Disney has been trying to avoid the entire time by buying the rights back to all of their characters. Alas, this wasn't going to work with Sony, and their woes in the entertainment division, specifically television and film over at Sony, have been well documented. They probably should have already sold once or twice during the last decade. There's only a couple of IPs, intellectual properties, that prop up that whole segment. Spider-Man is one of them, and if they lose Spider-Man, they'll probably lose the rest of the division. Either way, I had a ton of thoughts in my head last night when I went to sleep. We didn't do a video on this. I figured I'd leave it for today. And when I woke up and read this article by Deadline, they basically filled in the blanks for a lot of the things I was thinking, as in thinking back to that Fox agreement with Marvel, how they structured a lot of those early film contracts. You only got the rights to the character for film. They retained a lot of the other rights. Now, this is a little bit different with Spider-Man. It's a lot more inclusive, but the adjacent characters, not so much. And this is what Deadline went on to report, quote, "Sources close to the situation cautioned that the complex talks are still in early stages and there are major issues that need to be resolved. Some of them have to do with the complicated web of multi-platform rights for various characters." A complicated web of multi-platform rights for various characters. No one would want to comment, but I hear the proposed suite of Marvel series is expected to land on a linear platform first, before heading to Amazon for streaming. They go on to say in April of 2019, Sony TV signed a mega deal with Into the Spider-Man Spider-Verse. That's Phil Lord and Chris Miller, the same that are signed on to produce this, which included the duo overseeing a suite of TV series based on the Sony universe of Marvel characters. We've already reported on that. Lord and Miller executive produced the series with Spider-Man franchise producer Amy Pascal, who of course has overseen Spider-Man since the beginning of time and will be here long after we are all gone. They go on to say the suite approach is similar to the unprecedented at the time sale of 4 Marvel series and a limited series by Marvel TV to Netflix, which was led by Daredevil, and of course you all understand the analogy. Those properties now back at Marvel Studios. This next part is the important part. The series package based on Marvel characters has been a big priority for Sony, whose toppers have spoken out about it on earnings calls. As part of the deal that predates the Disney acquisition of Marvel, Sony controls hundreds of Marvel characters led by Spider-Man. Now, the most important part of what they've reported on here is that the toppers have been looking for this package deal for quite a while. 3 or 4 TV shows that they can take some characters, put them together, work out the rights for wherever may be left over with Marvel, and move forward on that. And there have even been talks of some more co-production and co-working together. Look, all the rumors we've talked about here at the channel since it was announced that Tom Holland's Peter Parker would be staying in the MCU, that obviously Sony came to the table with some bargaining chips of their own, and there's some things that they wanted. That's why they were willing to walk away from those negotiations in the first place. Now, do I think we will ever see Peter Parker, Spider-Man, or any huge names ever on Amazon streaming? Absolutely not. Last year, right around the time we were having the discussions of Sony and Marvel having to re-sign that deal for Spider-Man, and we were in the middle of a holdout for about 30 days, I did a video called How Amazon Could Help Marvel Get Spider-Man Back for Free, and it went along the lines of, if Amazon was able to step up with the right dollar amount, Jeff Bezos with unlimited money, and buy that ailing part of TV and film, that division of Sony, they'd be willing to sell off the Spider-Man rights in full would bounce back to Marvel Studios for free. That's how all of those contracts are set up. If there's an acquisition or sale of the original studio that holds the rights, those rights in principle go back to Marvel and Disney. So they would be all for Amazon buying out that part of their company. Amazon knows that, and also knows they wouldn't be getting much unless they get this Spider-Man IP. That's why we may be seeing this package deal now showing up, because, and this is my biggest problem with all of this, Sony takes off and does this suite of television shows that should in some way be connected to Spider-Man. And look, Silk doesn't need to coexist with Peter Parker. She can have her own story. But the problem is the thing that's exciting about all these comic book characters is their crossovers and connection to each other. They don't exist in a bubble. And unfortunately, the further we get away with live series from anything Kevin Feige, any of the MCU's touch, any of the characters or their oversight in production, then you basically just have a superhero in a vacuum. And we've seen examples of this in the past, both with some of the later Netflix series and, of course, most recently with New Mutants in an X-Men universe that doesn't exist. It loses some of the enthusiastic punch of having that crossover connection and those possibilities. We've just come to expect it from the MCU. Look, DC hasn't been able to pull it off in multiple attempts. That's why I just sort of scratch my head with Sony and wonder why they don't just dump all of the IP back over to Marvel Studios, work out a percentage, give them an address for the check, shake hands, and call it a day. Of course, there's ego involved, as we've seen multiple times. Amy Pascal has to be involved some way with the overseeing of Spider-Man. How else would we get great names like Homecoming and Far From Home? As well as the fact that, well, I guess the characters that they're talking about using, we may never see them in a franchise role anyway. So as I've said many times here at the channel, and this is my final thought, in a world where the MCU was never going to have time to get to a Silk-led franchise, one way that you can look positively over at Sony is they're picking up the titles that the MCU doesn't have time to do. And yeah, eventually we might have gotten to a Silk series, but how many She-Hulks need to come out first before we get there? Now we have an ancillary studio in Sony to go ahead and pick up these titles. Guys, let me know all your thoughts down below about all of this, how you would feel if you ever were watching Spider-Man characters connected to the MCU on Amazon. Oh my god, it gives me a headache. Let me know all your thoughts down below, and quickly, let's get into the giveaway stuff before I let you go. We're still giving away 2 PlayStation 4 Pros, the next of which is at the 700,000 subscriber mark. If you want to be entered to win, all you have to do, hit the subscribe button, then hit the notification bell, leave a like and a comment on this video, and that'll automatically enter you to win all the rest of the prizes here at the channel, like this insane 1/4 scale XM Studios Beta Ray Bill and our 3rd and final Infinity Saga box set we'll be giving away at the end of this year during the holiday season. We've already given away 2 at the channel. This will be our 3rd and final one. If you want to be entered to win any of the prizes, the limited edition Infinity Saga box set, Beta Ray Bill, either of the PlayStations, or any of the future prizes we give away here at the channel, all the same rules will always apply. Hit the subscribe button, then hit the notification bell with notifications turned on to keep up with the channel. Leave a like and a comment on this video, and because it's truly random, the more videos you comment on, the better chance you have of winning. All winners will be announced at the end of the video, the same way we're doing here. And if you've missed any previous winner announcements, no worries. All you have to do is scroll back through the channel, look for the winner announcement in the sub count in the title, click on that video, and scroll to the end. My name is Michael Roman. This is Everything Always, guys. Thanks so much for checking out the channel, and stick around. We'll be posting again real soon.